To me, the biggest sort of red herring, as you put it, that distracts creative people on their journey is, which I've fallen victim to myself, is this notion that somebody is coming to save you, you know? And what I mean by that is when we were kids, like in middle school, it was all about getting signed. Like we thought that if we wanted to make it as rappers, that we needed to get signed to a record label, because all the famous rappers that we saw on TV or heard on the radio or listened to on CDs were signed to a label. And even when we got into like underground rap, it was still, it was like Quantum Projects was the label, or Definitive Jux, these independent, smaller labels, but there was still always a label there. And so the whole thing was like, yo, maybe one day we'll get signed. Granted, when we were 11, 12 years old, and it was a very logical thought to have, especially in that time. And to be fair, in that time, you kind of did have to get signed. I mean, that is kind of how it worked, right? It was like you try to build enough buzz locally that eventually you can get signed to a label, and then you have distribution, and you can put an album out, and you can potentially be on the radio, and you have a budget for a music video, and you can really be an artist and be seen by the world. And so that's how that used to work. I feel like now in the era of social media and this sort of world we live in today, where everyone is kind of able to leverage these free platforms to promote themselves and build an audience organically, I think that there are still a lot of people, and myself included at a certain time, that maintain this sort of older way of thinking about it, where it's like, okay, if I build enough of an audience, or if I prove that I'm good enough, then somebody bigger and better is going to come along and sort of save me, or like some huge artist is going to come and put me on, and then I'll really be set, or some management company is going to come in and sign me and want to work with me, and they're going to be able to connect me with the biggest artist in the world, and then it's going to be game over. Like then I'll be on, or I'll sign with a big record label and get $1 million advance, and I'll rise to that occasion, and my follow-up will be just as good, and I'll recoup that 1 million times 10, and I'll be on the radio. And that does happen sometimes, right? To be clear, like that is something that occurs, but to me, that's like winning the lottery. That is like incredibly rare that happens that way, and that it pans out really well, and the artist just excels to superstardom. It does happen, but it's super rare. And I think that in the past, I would sort of fall into that pattern of thinking as well. It's like, okay, I'm building my brand on social media. I'm putting all these pieces in place so that eventually some big organization or company can come in and really give me the lift I need. And then it'll just be smooth sailing, and I'll be chilling, and I'll be winning, and it'll be great. I now feel like that's not a productive game plan for most artists out there, independent artists out there that have a goal of succeeding as an artist and doing this as their living full time. I think it's never a good business plan to be hoping that you win the lottery, right? That's not a solid business plan. So, and to me, hoping that eventually somebody comes along and makes your dreams come true is the artist equivalent of banking on winning the lottery. So to me, it's a much more productive mindset to take full responsibility for your own success, to say, look, nobody is coming to save me. I am solely responsible for my success. I'm also solely responsible for my failure, right? All of the wins, all of the losses, it's all on me. And when you go into that perspective, the cool thing is then you can really become unstoppable.